Well, hey there, YouTube. Part 2 of this video. In part 1, I talked about my musical influences, which are my favorite bands. As a kid, my dad listened to Harry Nilsson. That led me to the James Bond soundtracks, which led me to the Beatles, into Pink Floyd, and then Adrian Belew's music into Mike Patton, and all things related. You know, when I say Adrian Belew, that leads you into King Crimson, David Bowie, different things like that. Same thing with Mike Patton being both Mr. Bungle and Faith No More. Although I think Mr. Bungle was a little bit more my taste. Now, I also have to say, you know, and of course then all of his, you know, Tomahawk, Phantoms. I love Phantoms. Wasn't into the Peeping Tom stuff. I have to say, music being subjective is what makes it so beautiful. So just because this is right for me certainly doesn't make it right for you. Now, I think that up to a certain point when we get into pop or bubblegum music, you have to realize that comparing that to something like, oh, I don't want to say Stravinsky or Bach, but I will. How can you compare these two? Well, they're both music. One would appeal to one type of person, one would appeal to a different type of person. If you have a person that would appeal to both, that says something's wrong with that person. I kid. So we don't ever want to say that music sucks or, you know, attack Justin Bieber. You realize he's a poor kid that was manipulated into this job, you know. And would you have done it? Yeah, you would have done it. You would have taken the money. You would have taken the fame. So, zip it. Now, today, we're not here to talk about all that. I already dealt with all that in the first video. This is video 2, new bands. Since post-2002, the last band that really floated my boat was a Japanese noise rock band called Melt Banana. I love that band, their album Bambi's Dilemma, Cellscape, any of the later stuff. I love all Melt Banana, but I love their songy, more melodic side of that band. The just harsh, abrasive noise stuff is cool too, but I prefer the more songy. When you can incorporate sound effects and noise and melody and songwriting skills and craft a piece that utilizes all those elements, that's when you've achieved the next level, and it blows my mind. So all of that being said, and then, you know, I do want to address the other stuff having that deep melancholy, that depth, like this band, the Psychodots. Was Adrian Belew played in this band called the Bears, and that is 3 guys who call themselves the Psychodots when Belew is not playing with them. So I became a huge fan of the Dots, and they are, like, I can't tell you how much I love this band. I love them more than the Beatles. And the lead guitar player, he has an emotional depth to his writing where he can write stuff that is so sad that it's like, feels like my heart is broke when I listen to it. It has an effect that can move me to tears. It has a significant effect on me listening to this guy's art. It has this emotional depth to it. Okay? So that is something I'm a sucker for. I like the sad stuff. And that's the thing. You can't listen to that all the time. It'll end up affecting you emotionally. So this is powerful medicine I'm talking about. So this new band doesn't have any of those things associated with it. Let's dive right in. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard is an Australian psychedelic rock band formed in 2010 in Melbourne, Victoria. The band consists, it's a 7-piece. Stu McKenzie, vocals, guitar, keyboards, flute. He plays a 12-string Hagstrom electric guitar. Ambrose Kenny Smith is like their utility man. He is vocals, harmonica, and keyboards, and often he's got kind of a nasally vocal approach, but he can mimic Stu, the lead vocalist, perfectly. So often, like on an album, how they'll do double track recording, well, they can achieve that effect live because Ambrose sings exactly like Stu. So it's cool. Then we're talking about Cook Craig on guitar and vocals. Cookie has a more of a surf style guitar and a JC 120 amplifier, and he also is their wah-wah man. They use wah-wah effect sometimes, and when that's going on, there's 3 guitar players. That's Cook. And he's the bigger dude that has the blonde hair. His look kind of changes. For a while, he looked like a sailor. He's got like a big Popeye beard and a kind of an unkempt blonde mess of a hairdo. Joey Walker is the lead guitar player. He used to play a red Yamaha, like a Samurai, or what is that called? And he does vocals and lead guitar. Now he's playing a white Baldwin Burns guitar. Lucas Skinner is on bass, plays a 3/4 scale bass a lot of times, sometimes. Michael Cavanaugh, drums and percussion. He's their primary drummer with the long hair. Eric Moore is the second drummer. They'll set up their 2 kits facing each other. And Eric Moore is also the management of Flightless Records. They have their own label, and they produce like collector's vinyl, colored vinyl, all kinds of really exciting packages for the record releases. And that's Eric Moore, who is a band member, but he also runs the business. Now there is an 8th member of the band named Jason Galea. Jason does all of their music videos for the band. He does the live video projection because they have psychedelic or much more modern psychedelic computer-generated graphic imagery that's projected on the band while they perform live. So that's all Jason Galea. And he anything associated, like the album covers, he hand paints all of that. He directs and produces all the imagery and ideas for the video. So he's like the 8th member of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And it's so cool because they've got a primary songwriter whose emotional and musical throughput is reflected throughout the entire career of the band's catalog. And then you have the same thing on the visual end of it. You have one guy doing all of that, which makes it like how Storm Thurgeson did all Pink Floyd's album covers. It's that type of thing. And I will say about King Gizzard, there is something about the way they utilize melody and also the production that elevates this band. It puts them in the same class as these other acts. The only thing I will say about them is they don't have that emotional, there's no like sorrow in this music. It's anything but. On the genres here listed on the Wikipedia page, we have psychedelic, garage, acid, chaos rock, progressive rock, and experimental rock. Now, I would also add jazz, easy listening, instrumental, because there's 2 albums where they have spoken word storytelling. One is a spaghetti western, and that music is excellent. It sounds like spaghetti western soundtrack music with the twangy, like surf style guitars with the reverb tanks. And the story is told, it's called Eyes Like the Sun. It's really cool. And then Murder of the Universe it's a female telling a story. It's a futuristic sci-fi tale. And they also have a computer that speaks, Han Tiomi. That is this computer voice, and that's like post audiobook. That's what they call it. So they have this Flightless record label. They've got their utility man on stage. There's 2 drummers and 3 guitar players. So it's very versatile. Music is all over the place. There's associated acts, the Murlocs. That is Ambrose, Kenny Smith. He's the utility man, the harmonica, keyboard, second vocalist off on the side. They have a table with extra effects. A lot of times they'll run their vocal mics through like a Boss GT5 or whatever, and then run it into a guitar amp. So the vocals are like fuzzed out. They do all this really cool. And then on the albums, the production techniques are so cool. The tricks they use and then there's sound effects in the music too. So that's one of those things that really floats my boat. But the main thing with King Gizzard, they don't lean so much towards experimental noise and all that. There is that cool production technique and all that, but it's just a very musical band. The only other band I could compare them to is the Beatles, in that they're so prolific. They have so many albums and different styles of music, and then the way that the melodies work, that they're so good. They're just on this level that's just like, oh my goodness, every album they come out with. They do not have a single bad song. There's no throwaway material on all the albums that they have. They haven't been around that long. They put out a lot of records. They put out 5 records in 2017, and they're all unbelievably great. So associated acts, the utility man singer guy has his own band called Murlocs. Then there's Pipe Eye. That's the shaggy-haired surf guitar JC120 guy. That's his band. There is a couple more bands. Orb opens up for them and plays with them. That's on their label. They sound like Sabbath. They're like hardcore sludge rock. And there's a band called the Babe Rainbow that's like 70s psychedelia that's on their label. And then this Mile High Club, which they collabed with that guy for their Elevator Music smooth jazz album, which is really good. So it's a 7-piece double drummer. The 5 albums that they put out, I found out about them in 2016. They had put out this album called, what's it called? I'm going to scroll down here, and I'll just start at the beginning. There's an EP called Wallabies Beach. It came out in 2011. Filled to the teeth with consistently killer hooks was the review. And then in 2011, 2012, September 7th, 2012, 12 Bar Brews came out. And that's this garage rock self-recorded album, unconventional recording methods. The vocals for the album's title track were recorded through 4 iPhones placed in a room while Stu McKenzie sang into one of them. Then they did that Eyes Like the Sky, spaghetti western, spoken word, narrative, cult western audiobook. Float Along, Fill Your Lungs is a like psychedelic, mellow, folk 8-track album that is more of a cohesive, like How Dark Side of the Moon was a concept album, but not really. Oddments is Odd Moments, I think that translates to, and that's just, it's a more melodic approach, more prominent vocals, cleaner production. But then here it says Oddments has been described through as being recorded through an old woolen sock in an adjacent room. But yeah, there's some elements of it that have that sound, which I love it. Their 5th full-length album, I'm in Your Mind Fuzz, was 2014. Elements of fantasy, lyrically delves into the concept of mind control. Traditional approach to writing the lyrics. Opening with a sprint and ending with some of their best slow jams. Again, Mind Fuzz seems like a conceptual continuity as an arc. There's all kinds of musical themes and repeated themes through the lyrics and the music, which is so cool. Quarters was where they divided it up. The album features 4 songs, each running 10 minutes and 10 seconds, making each song a quarter of the album. Jazz fusion, acid rock, more laid-back sound was unlike anything they released before. It's more of a dancing album as Violent Mosh, which they do have some, like, getting into that hard rock territory. Not heavy metal, but hard rock, definitely. And all this, I should say, it's got that flair to it because they have an Australian accent, so it sounds British or Australian a little bit. Later on in the year, they did this Paper Mache Dream Balloon. Concept-less concept album, features only acoustic instruments, recorded on Mackenzie's parents' farm in Victoria. It's a collection of short, unrelated songs, mellow, defuzz psychedelia, and that's great. Paper Mache Dream Balloon it's such a great album, and the cover art is really cool. It's a claymation setup of outdoor with a tree with the band. Really cool. Really cool. Nonagon Infinity. Oh, we got the guy cutting the lawn. Nonagon Infinity is this never-ending album, 9 songs connected by a musical motif which flow seamlessly into each other, with the last track linking straight back into the top of the opener like a sonic Mobius strip. So they did Gamma Knife, People Vultures. Yeah, they don't have them all listed here. There is 4 or 5 music videos for the songs on that Nonagon Infinity. They were supposedly going to release 1 song for everything, which would be 9, I think. But all of those videos are great. They're really funny. They've got a sense of humor to them. There's a lot of really cool video techniques displayed in that, the way they're put together. And that was all that Jason Galea guy. So it's no wonder he couldn't finish and do video for each track, because this was going into 2017 when they did 5 albums in 1 year, which is incredible because there isn't a bad song on all of that 5 albums. It's all killer, no filler. And that Nonagon Infinity won the ARIA Award for Best Hard Rock or Heavy Metal Album. So that was when I discovered this band, was in October, I think, of 2016. The album came out in April 2016, and they popped up over on the right side of my feed, and I saw the name King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and I was like, what is that? I gotta see this, and I clicked on it. I was like, I really like this, And then I found one of the videos from Nonagon, and I was like, holy shit, is this good? And then I couldn't stop. Like, I found out about them at like 10:30 in the morning, and I did not stop. I was going through all their material. My wife and kids came home. I'm like, you gotta check this band out. Come on, sit down. And it's pretty much been like that ever since. They went on to 2017. They released their 9th full-length album, which is called Flying Microtonal Banana. And this is where they alter their guitars by adding extra frets to achieve these in-between notes. Conceived as a record to be played on the Turkish baglama, a stringed instrument with movable frets. So it's a soaring take on microtonal music. 3 tracks were issued in advance, like singles, and that's a great album. I think people consider that to be one of their best. But Murder to the Universe came out after that. It was kind of like the same concept as Nonagon Infinity, but it also harkened back to their Eyes Like the Sky, where they had a girl, narrate a spoken word story all throughout this album. And then the voice changes at the end. They use a computer-generated voice synthesizer. But some people complained, I don't like this. I want to hear the music. I'm hearing them talk. And they were on Conan O'Brien, Lord of Lightning. They performed live. But it's an excellent album. And if you don't like it, listen to another one of their albums. It's great stuff. So Sketches of Brunswick East came out next, and that was a collaboration with a guy named Alex Breton, who's from Mild High Club. So this is like psychedelic jazz, improvisational elevator music. It's really mellow, and they add more elements of like vibes, keys. I think there's woodwinds and horns on it, and they play in the drum kits with brushes and stuff. But next up, we have Polygon to Wonderland, and this is a really cool. It's harkening back to Nonagon Infinity, where it's like a concept album with all this kind of the same tone, where it's more aggressive, more like mosh pit music, but this is more psychedelic and mystical in its lyrical content. Polygon to Wonderland that's a standout for me. I love that album. Starts off with a 10-minute long title track, 10-minute long song, Crumbling Castle. That's a big word, which is a standout track. And they had a video created for that, for Crumbling Castle, which I'm going to check that out right now because I don't remember it. Although I think I remember it being really dark and scary. So Mackenzie confirmed on December 7th, 2017 that the 5th album was going to be coming very late in the year. There was rumor that it was going to be a Christmas album, which would have been horrible, but it wasn't. It is Gumboot Soup, which they say it's definitely not like B-sides anything, but it is. It's leftover tracks from the rest of their albums, or finishing up stuff that they had written throughout the year that didn't really have a home. There's one track that's kind of microtonal. There's one track that you think, boy, that would have fit really good on Murder of the Universe. And similar, there's a real heavy, like a stoner doom track on there that is so excellent, and the production is really good on Gumboot Soup. So, again, music is subjective, but this isn't one of those bands that is a challenge like Mr. Bungle. Even Adrian Blue music was like that, where you would have to listen to it a bunch of times before it would click with you. This music, you can fall in love with it pretty painlessly. So give them a listen and let me know if you end up falling in love with this band like I did. I still haven't been able to see them. They came one time when I could have bought tickets. Fundage was low, and I was kind of didn't really feel like going to something where 18 to 21-year-olds were going to be pouring beer all over me and slam dancing and moshing. I made some kind of comment on their fan page, and I got attacked. Everyone, because it's all young people that are fans of this group, they came out in droves and laid into me. So, yeah, I got the lawn crew out here. Sounds like I'm making this video at a motocross track. Forgive me for that. Have a good summer, and check out King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. What a great band, you two. Peace.